Now that Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is out in theaters around the world, a lot of fans have been very curious about the future of the Star Wars franchise and what could have been for Star Wars Episode 9 by Disney and Lucasfilm. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, in case you guys did not know, Episode 9 was a very complex project for Disney and Lucasfilm, given all the different pieces of reshoots that they went through, the rewrites from start to finish of production of this movie. This production of this movie, by the way, was a very shaky experience for Lucasfilm because of all the major changes that they had to go through in order to complete the film. Now, with that being said, the Skywalker saga, as of right now, how it's come to an end with The Rise of Skywalker hitting $500 million in total at the box office. So far, it's off to a good start, which is quite surprising after the opening weekend didn't do quite as well as The Last Jedi's. It just picked up suddenly, and there's still a chance that this movie will hit $1 billion at the box office by the time the movie gets out of the theaters, most likely by early to mid-February. Now, on top of all of this, what's rather intriguing has all to do with one of the deleted segments of the film that features a specific character called, of course, Palpatine's son in the movie, where we've actually been talking about Palpatine's son for a number of months, who went under the name of Yan, Y-A-H-N. We actually did get to see him in a brief scene in the finalized version of the movie. However, what's rather intriguing is that it's explained that Disney and Lucasfilm went through many changes and adjustments during their reshoots and rewrites for the film during the months of August, September, and October, when they were restructuring the plot of the film by Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams. It said that these changes were made in order to create a different tone for the film, to cater to a general audience and to reduce the running time of the movie, which was originally over 4 hours long, which contained far more Palpatine segments in the film. However, one of the sequences that were cut from the film involved Ian McDiarmid portraying Emperor Palpatine inside of a strange Sith temple, where he appeared far younger in design and was said to be in the form of a flashback, where the actor who portrayed Rey's father / Palpatine's son was also seen standing before the Emperor in strange black armor, kneeling down to his father. Now, the scene was said to have been shot over at Pinewood Studios in the UK, and originally played along with a voiceover of Palpatine talking to Rey the truth about her parents. This sequence would eventually jump cut to where Palpatine's son runs away from his father, Sidious, and finds Rey's mother on a strange green planet. The entire scene was shot back in November of 2018, when the first phase of the rewrites were happening. However, this scene in particular was cut from the film entirely, and it may or may not make its way over to the Blu-ray edition due for release in March of next year. Additionally, another scene featuring Palpatine's son involved a different type of death that was filmed back in January of this year at Cardington, where originally the death of Rey's father would be by Palpatine himself, using a lightsaber while being held by 2 Imperial guards and stabbing him through the chest. However, Disney saw this as somewhat in too much detail and changed it over to where a character named Ochi was the one who killed Rey's parents. The original death of Palpatine's son was said to have been done on the world of Exegol, years later after he escaped from his father and went into hiding, where Ochi was originally going to bring him before the Emperor, and Palpatine's son was portrayed by 2 different actors, to which the original unknown actor had hair like Qui-Gon Jinn and was dressed in raggy clothing and had a handful of scars on his face. However, Abrams wanted to stick with a more generic design for Palpatine's son by choosing an actor who had short hair and a basic outfit for the Jakku flashback sequence when Rey was actually just a child. Now, this was done so that J.J. Abrams could create a version of Palpatine's son that was somewhat different than the one from Star Wars Legends material called Triclops. Palpatine killing his own son was said to be a very dark scene that was shot between Ian McDiarmid and the actor who portrayed his son in the film, and that Palpatine's new lightsaber had a hilt design that was similar to Count Dooku's, where it held a curved design once he stabbed his own son in the chest to kill him. Now, Ian's performance was said to have been outstanding for what was shot by Disney and Lucasfilm. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, everything related to Palpatine's son in the final cut of the movie, I know it's very confusing. There's little to no explanation about how Palpatine's son really came into the picture. And obviously, this is going to be explained, by the way, in the official novelization, so keep an eye open for that. Now, the thing about this, alright, that really gets me is that yes, there were multiple scenes for Rey's father / Palpatine's son that were filmed. We actually talked about Palpatine's son a couple of months ago. That was actually quite intriguing because it was going to be the central piece of the story. However, they dwindled it down to 1 or 2 flashbacks in the finalized version of the movie. One where we have both, Rey's father and mother telling Rey that they're going to come back for her, and the other one of which showing us the death of her parents by the hands of Ochi. Now, the thing about Rey's father, Palpatine's son, that's really intriguing to me at least, is that they went as far to confirm in the actual movie where Kylo Ren says, my mother was the daughter of Darth Vader. Your father was Palpatine's son. It was all there is to it. That was the line of dialogue that confirms that her father was Palpatine's son. Kylo Ren confirms it. How does Kylo Ren really know that? That's a big question open on the table. Did Palpatine tell him that, Rey's father is his child or Rey's mother? Somehow, some way, Kylo Ren was able to figure it out that it was Rey's father who was the child of Palpatine. Now, the thing about this, though, is that originally there was going to be a segment in the film that was going to involve Palpatine using a red lightsaber blade and stabbing it through his son's chest. Now, this would have been somewhat similar to what was done between Han Solo and Kylo Ren, and could absolutely serve as a direct link as to why Kylo Ren did this to Han Solo, his own father. After all, Palpatine controlled Snoke. Snoke told Kylo Ren to kill his own father, Han. He told him, you know what you need to do, if you guys have read other canon material besides the films. And after all, Palpatine controlled Supreme Leader Snoke, so then, you can see where the connection comes from of how Palpatine did something very similar to his own son and how he killed him, and how that may have been inspired by Kylo Ren to do the same exact thing to his own father. Now, the thing about this, though, is that from what I see, Disney and Lucasfilm may have seen that as being way too dark, but it really isn't, because if you look at The Force Awakens, we've had Han Solo get the stab treatment by Kylo Ren, by use of a lightsaber. Same exact thing happens at the very end of the second act in The Rise of Skywalker, where, in the Force Awakens, we have Han Solo's death by Kylo Ren getting stabbed. He stabs his father. Then in this movie, he gets stabbed by Rey. It's almost like payback in a sense, where he gets what he deserves, and in a way, you can see how that slowly transforms him, becoming Ben Solo again, because not only does he have a near-death experience, but he also feels the death of his mother coming, as well as realizing, what life is really all about. And I think that was the big realization for Kylo Ren at that point. So, with Palpatine's son and the entire, aspect of family being introduced in this movie on the dark side level of things, it's a very interesting thing, to say the least. This does fall directly in line with how Chris Terrio knows a lot about Star Wars Legends. In Star Wars Legends, Palpatine had a son called Triclops. However, that version of Palpatine's son was a mutant. So, you can see, if you guys have seen the film, Palpatine's son looks like a normal human being, no scars, no disfigurements, no odd shapes to the face, nothing like a mutant, like how he was in Star Wars Legends. So, the fact that they made him like a presentable human being is something quite, bit of a big change in comparison to how Palpatine's son Triclops was used in the old expanded universe, which, by the way, is not canon. Now, the thing about this, though, the fact that they shot multiple scenes for Palpatine's son, it tells us that Disney and Lucasfilm really wanted to explore a little bit more about how Rey's father came into fruition, exactly how he came into the picture, how Rey came into the picture. That was all originally going to be explained, and obviously they wanted to dial it down with the running time, and they really wanted to make this movie way shorter than how it was. Originally this movie was 4 hours and 20-some minutes. Obviously they had to dial it down quite a bit, because there's no way Disney was going to release a 4-hour movie. It's just not happening. The Last Jedi originally was 3.5 hours. They had to dial that down too. I feel that with a Star Wars movie like The Rise of Skywalker, they could have absolutely made it 3.5 hours. Look at The Irishman. It's a long movie, it's entertaining, it's great, you get sucked into it, at least I felt, and it just works. And with a Star Wars movie, I think it would have worked even better. They could have explained a lot more, plot holes in the movie. They could have explained a lot more mysteries that left people very confused. So, yeah, I mean, with that being said, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to